Hello, guys. This is Pinkie, the housewife. I'm coming to you with a live story right now. Let me just put my disclaimer up first before I get started with everything. Um, Everything is covered under the Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107. All right. Let me go ahead and get into the matter that's going on right now. We have a plane crash, another plane that have crashed today, a few hours ago in Toronto. Um, the plane, as you can see, is on its turned upside down. It flipped over. This is in Toronto. It just happened. I was on a live just probably less than an hour ago when I got the news. So I'm going live again to bring this story to you. It's a Delta plane crash that crashed at the airport and it's landed upside down. I'm going to go ahead and just bring you the story right now. Everything will be in my description box. The first story I'm going to bring you with it is with CBS News. All right. So you can go ahead and start seeing what's going on, and then I will bring you more. And I'm going to bring it to you now so you can see what's going on.
19 appears to have flipped over following landing. The Toronto Pearson Airport released a statement on X saying, quote, emergency teams are responding. All passengers and crew are accounted for. The flight originated from Minneapolis, St. Paul. Senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve joins me now. Chris, what do we know?
Well, John, we understand that some federal officials are hearing reports of some injuries here, but again, the airport says everyone is accounted for. There are images trickling out that show this CRJ 900, which is a regional jet. It was operated by Delta's regional carrier Endeavor, but operating as a Delta flight. The plane appears to be upside down. The wings and tail ripped off. The nose landing gear still in place. People are being taken off the airplane. Medical crews have responded in Toronto. The Toronto Pearson Airport had gotten a significant amount of snow over the last week. In fact, over the weekend, they were working quite hard to clear. It had been about 7 inches of snow going into yesterday. So weather conditions there will be something that will certainly be looked at here. But we're looking at another U.S. airliner. This one operated as a Delta connection flight that had an accident while or shortly after landing, in this case in Toronto. We don't know how many people are on board yet, but the airport says everyone is accounted for. We hear that there may be some injuries, but it does look like the cabin of the airplane, the passenger area of the plane, remained intact fully when whatever went wrong, and it went wrong with enough force, it appears, to have ripped the wings and the tail off the airplane, and it came to rest there on a runway in Toronto. Obviously, this is an unfolding situation. A lot of questions about how this could have happened. What could have resulted in this plane essentially flipping over as it was touching down or shortly after touching down from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hey, guys. Thank you for being here. Janetta Speaks, Miss Cutie Pie, and thank you you all for being here. This happened while I was on my live. I was doing a live about less than an hour ago when I stopped the live, so we can get into this. It's a plane crash that just happened maybe a couple of hours or an hour or so ago, maybe 2 hours ago. But anyway, this plane crashed in Toronto. It's on its belly. It flipped over. It's on its belly. No, that's not the belly. It's just flipped over. And so we're still going through this. I'm playing this right now so I can get more information and everything, so we can just pray everybody is okay. For as I know now, all the passengers have been accounted for. I know they do have someone that is in critical condition. There's several people are injured and stuff, so I'm going to let you all finish watching it. Okay.
they can here. John, this comes after a real startling period of aviation accidents involving U.S. aircraft. If we think back barely 3 weeks ago, you had the midair collision over Washington, D.C. That killed 67 people. 2 days later, you had that Learjet crash in Philadelphia in spectacular fashion, caught on camera. We saw that. That killed 6 people on board, 1 person on the ground, 10 people in a Cessna Citation flying in Alaska en route to Nome. And then just last week here in the Phoenix area, that plane that had a landing gear collapse on landing and crashed into another plane, that killed at least 1 person and injured several others. Now we have this incident, which, fingers crossed, we are hoping just don't know that, and we don't know the extent of any injuries just yet.
Chris Van Cleve, senior transportation correspondent. Thank you very much, Chris. We're now going to talk to transportation safety expert and analyst Robert Sumwalt, who joins us. Mr. Sumwalt served as the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board. What's your first reaction to this? CRJ 900, Chris reports the tail and wings have been sheared off. It's upside down. Your thoughts?
Well, I think my first thoughts, John, are I'm glad to hear that everyone is accounted for, and hopefully is.
Thank you, Greta Lee, for being here. You're right, Greta Lee. Every week there's a plane crash. I just did one last week on a plane crash. Just last week. And then the week before that, I did 2. Seems like every week I'm doing a plane crash. I don't know what's going on. I tell you, ever since we had that eclipse last year that I did a live on, it haven't been the same. The weather have not been the same. The weather is crazy. And they have so much snow in Toronto right now. I don't know why they got planes trying to slide. That's the runway, if y'all look at it. That snow, you see all that snow on the runway? Gosh, what's going on? What is going on? Every time you look up, planes are falling in the water, falling everywhere. Planes, you better look up when you're walking around. A plane may fall on you. Thank you all for being here for this live coverage. If it's happening in the world, I'm covering it. Okay, we'll get on with Love and Marriage later on tonight. But during the day, right now, what's going on is these plane crashes. I'll get Love and Marriage later. They ain't going nowhere. Their mess is still going to be here. Okay? Thank you, guys. My husband brought me some pie. During my live, I just did. He had brought me some lasagna.
The CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm John Dickerson in New York.
Okay.
This Italian method stopped my snoring.
Let me pull up and see whether they got a news conference or something going on. I'm going to let this finish playing out while I look, guys, okay? So we can get some more latest news.
There isn't a ton that we know at this point, but we will tell you the very latest in what we do know.
Okay.
We're looking at live pictures right now from the Toronto Pearson International Airport, a very snowy tarmac there that you can see. Unclear if this plane, which appears to have rested upside down, is even on a tarmac or runway, but we are working to get more information. So let's catch you up to speed. This is a Delta Airlines flight that has been involved in an accident in Toronto. We just heard from Chris Van Cleve that this was operating as Delta, but it's an Endeavour connection flight, a CRJ 900 regional jet. This was flight 4819. It appears to have flipped over following landing, and we know the airport released a statement on X saying that emergency teams are responding. All passengers and crew are accounted for. We did just hear from that special report, John Dickerson and Chris Van Cleve essentially waving us off from reading too much into what that statement means, but essentially just not getting ahead of themselves with that statement, still working to figure out injuries, the extent of those injuries. This flight departed Minneapolis, St. Paul at 11:34 Central Time. It is about a 2-hour flight. 80 people on board is what we are hearing for the total number of people who were on board. And again, we did hear Chris say it would be unfathomable to think that somebody would not sustain some kind of injury from something like this. The wings and tail, as we see from this imagery, have been ripped off. And we know that the airport has gotten a lot of snow, a ton of snow. They cleared 7 inches of snow yesterday. So weather is something that they will be looking at. And we heard Robert Sumwalt say that while it's too early to speculate, that perhaps the weather conditions could have played some kind of role with any kind of sliding or anything like that, but still working to figure out how a plane upon landing here at Toronto Pearson International Airport ends up in this kind of position. We did hear Chris report that the Canadian version of the NTSB will be leading this and that the NTSB is aware and will be invited to join. Again, 80 people on board here, and this really comes just weeks after just one of the deadliest aviation disasters since September 11th. On January 29th, of course, that passenger jet and Black Hawk helicopter colliding midair, crashing into the Potomac near Washington, D.C., near Reagan National Airport. All 67 victims having been identified, no survivors from that incident. This is a very harrowing time for aviation right now. And here with the Delta flight from Minneapolis, St. Paul to Toronto with 80 people on board, certainly this is going to increase
unusual things are
those
happening.
fears and concerns for many people.
Thank you, Pinkie, for reporting on real life events. You're welcome, Greta. You are welcome. How did this plane flip upside down? That's what I'm still trying, not just myself, but there's another content creator that's covering it, a guy, and he is trying to, I think he did say he found a little short version of someone that was trying to, somebody had their own camera filming the plane coming in and got it flipping or something like that. But he didn't want to show it because it was too short to show the whole details of it. But I'm going to try to find that as well. How does this happen after landing? They got tons of snow and stuff on the ground at the airport. And so if you look at the thumbnail of the plane, let me show it to you. The plane, see all that snow, ice or whatever on the ground? That's them getting people coming out of there. You see that? And the wind must be blowing really hard because you can see how the people grabbing their hats and got everybody got a hat or hoodie on, blowing, hair is blowing up in there. Right. So what I'm going to do right now, there's a live coverage of it, another live coverage of it going on right now as we speak. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. Let me make sure I put it in my, I'm going to show that right now, but I'm going to keep up with what we got. I'm not going to get rid of this. Let me just, here it is right here. Let me stop sharing from there so I can share it to the other one. And that's here we go, guys. Now it's not muted, so you can't hear anything because there's no audio going on. But this is live, and you can see it at the bottom where it say live footage. So, and you can see it's not muted. It's just there's nobody with a microphone that's speaking, but they're showing you what's going on right now live. So this is live coverage of them at the plane. I do know one person is critical, and several people are injured. As for how bad or whether there's anybody else is still in the plane, I don't know. But you can see all that snow Guys, look at all that snow on the plane. I don't see how. I know I can't even walk on snow or ice. And a plane on wheels, this is awful. It is a lot of snow, but the airport should have had the runway clear. Thank you, Greta. That they supposed to be clear. You can see all that snow on that snow was not clear. This snow is, I don't know whether it's too much snow for them coming in at one time, but that snow was not, that snow is everywhere. You can see that. Snow all on top of the plane, all on the bottom of the plane, all near the windows, everywhere. There must be a fire or something still or something because they've been spraying down on the plane. I don't know. I'm just, when there's some audio, you hear it. Oh, let me move this so y'all can see this. This is live. Look at the bottom of your screen to the left where it says Delta plane. You can see that it's live. So there's no audio, but we're watching it. While we're doing that, I'm going to check and see, can I find any coverage of them where that plane is coming in, okay, while we do this. So we'll be watching this. I'm going to just put my avatar up so I can keep on eating my apple pie and checking this at the same time. Because my husband warmed it up and I don't want it to be cold. Y'all know my husband loves to bring me my food. Guys, let me just tell you something else. While I was checking to see whether anybody got coverage of the plane coming in for a landing, just saw live, they're going live with stuff about California, about the mudslides in California and the unaliving death toll. They still got some more mudslides going on in California. Tell me, do we have a day without anything going on? I don't know. Stuff is going on every day. I've just been covering news coverage on airplanes for the last couple of weeks. Seems like every week or twice a week, there's an airplane going down. And I think there was another one recently, a smaller one. So I'm going to try to bring that up too. Okay, guys, they are spraying that airplane. It's not muted, so y'all just seeing what they're doing. Air Canada. You see up ahead what's say Air Canada? Guys, this is terrible. This is terrible, but crazy all at the same time. And I know we all got to travel. You know that? We still got to travel. We still got to go places. Thank God it's no more holiday going on right now. Holiday we just had leaving was Valentine's Day. I know some people go home and see their mom or grandma and stuff like this, or their mom and grandma during the holiday. And some husbands that work out of town try to get home for Valentine's Day to see their wives and stuff. No more holidays going on. We won't have another holiday for a while. So hopefully we can try to make it without another plane crash. But I doubt it. But we still got to travel, guys. Let me just put this spoon in my mouth, apple pie. Okay. I know stuff is going on. You never know what's going to happen. You get on these planes now, you never know. Will that plane make it where it's supposed to go? Or I'm going to be one of the ones that don't make it. You know what I mean? Let me see what's going on with this one here. Because that one has no audio. So I'm going to bring you some audio, guys. Okay? I'm going to bring you some audio. Let me just do this right quick. I have to keep up. Now, remember, all my sources that I'm using, they're going to be down in my description box. Okay? Everything is down in the description box below. Let me stop sharing this one. And this is okay, here we go. This is what MSNBC. I love MSNBC. But I like them all. I like all the news stations. I really do. But here we go, guys. And I just only had to pause her for just about 2 minutes. Okay? I only paused for about 2 minutes.
Where a Delta Airlines flight arriving from Minneapolis has crashed on landing. That's according to the FAA. You're looking at live images from Toronto's Pearson Airport. The jet appears to have flipped upside down. It is a developing situation and a lot is unknown at this hour, but here's what we do know. The incident happened around 2:45 p.m. Eastern. 80 people on X, that all passengers and all crew have been accounted for, and emergency crews are responding. A local official tells MSNBC that 9 people have been injured. One is in critical condition and has been airlifted to a nearby trauma center. A child was also injured and taken by ambulance to a local hospital. This video shows passengers evacuating from the jet. The flight is operated by a regional subsidiary of Delta Airlines called Endeavour Airlines. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada is currently in charge of this investigation. Let's bring in my colleague, MSNBC host Ali Velshi, who also happens to be a pilot. He's been tracking this story for us. Also joining us, NTSB investigator, MSNBC aviation analyst, Jeff Gazzetti. Ali Velshi, I've been listening to you on the air with our friend and colleague, Katie Tur. Just reset for us what you believe to be the circumstances around this now flipped over upside down jet.
So it's a Delta feeder jet. It's not a mainline jet, but Minneapolis, as you know, is one of the major centers for Delta. Toronto is the major hub in Canada. It was on its way in. It was completely full. It's got 76 seats on that plane, two people in the cockpit, a pilot and a co-pilot, and 2 crew. So that was a full complement, which is typical of planes coming into Toronto. The issue is the weather in Toronto has been very bad. It's had 2 back-to-back storms, 3+ feet of snow on the ground. I mean, I've had family sending me pictures for the last several days of just snow, which Canadians don't do because they're used to snow. Plane came in, the landing speed's about 150 miles an hour, so think about that. Plane seems to get to the ground at 150 miles an hour. Now, if it flips over at 150 miles an hour, it probably wouldn't look the way it looks right now. It would probably be destroyed. So something happened. The pilots figured out something. The plane then seems to have flipped over. Now, what we don't see is landing gear, so we don't know whether the landing gear failed, the landing gear broke, the landing gear wasn't open, or could it be that the winds are very high? The plane could have caught some wind as it was landing. The snow, the banks along the runways have been cleared, but the banks along the runways have a lot of snow. So that sometimes happens. You hit some snow and then you go over, or snow blows onto the runway and becomes ice. The plane gets to the ground. Most people get off. There are 9 injured. Some of those injuries are supposedly to do with the weather because it's -4 degrees Fahrenheit in Toronto. But the 2 who have been sent to hospital, one is a child by land ambulance. There are very, very good children's hospitals in Toronto. It's a children's hospital center, really, for Canada. The other one was medevac to a trauma center. Again, that's because Toronto is a very heavily trafficked city. It's got excellent trauma hospitals, but it would be more standard to put somebody on a helicopter and in 5 minutes be at a trauma center. So that's what we're looking at right now. We are told that the critical injury is not life-threatening, which is great news if true. But amazing to look at these pictures, to see an upside-down plane on a runway, a jet, and understand that maybe 9 people are injured, and we're hoping it's not more than that. A lot of questions. The airport's closed right now. There were winds gusting up to 27 miles per hour, which would be entirely manageable for a CRJ 900 like that. That would not be winds that would necessarily cause it to flip. And the kinds of planes I flew, if you had 27 mile per hour gusts, I wouldn't fly. But that's not in and of itself the danger. Whether the wind caught it and the wing caught some snow, or there was ice on the runway, it might be in concert with other things that the wind was a factor. But the weather is definitely a factor there. There's a lot of snow to the extent that even the city of Toronto has said it might take weeks to get that city cleared of the snow that it's got right now. So the weather is probably the most likely factor at the moment.
Ali, do we know if there were cancellations in and out of the airport at the time of this incident?
I don't know yet, and I know this plane was coming in a little bit late, and it showed as delayed. Typically, when there is the kind of weather you've got in Toronto like this, you see departure delays because they're de-icing all the planes. When it's that cold, they have to de-ice the planes. So you'll see an airport. It's like an airfield. It's like much bigger than a football field, just full of planes waiting to take off. So you often have departure delays. We did not know of any incoming delays. I've seen some questions raised on social media about should the airport have even been open. It's important to remember this is Canada's biggest airport. It's a major hub, not just for Canada, but for international flights and for American flights. So pressure on airports to stay open, it tends to be high. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, airports tend not to close. Even after DCA, after that plane crash at Reagan National, remember one of the first things they announced is they'll be open at 11 o'clock the next morning. So the airport is now closed, by the way. It's fully closed because they need to investigate, and they need to make sure that if it was weather or wind, or they surmise that it might be, these investigations take a long time. They want to make sure this doesn't happen twice. So I don't know if there were delays coming in. I know there were delays getting out.
Jeff Gazzetti joins us as well. Jeff, just pick up where Ali has left off about what questions you have as an investigator.
Well, it really is striking to me that we have yet another major airline event. And this one appears to be very serious because it's lying upside down without its wings. So something very traumatic must have happened. And it is really a miracle that there were no fatalities. Fingers crossed on the critically injured person. We hope.
Yeah, the plane has no wings, no nothing. So it had to be a hard landing. Well, what happened to the wings?
These serious injuries will clear up in time. But right now, Nicole, it's really just we just have too many questions and not enough answers. We have an airplane that experienced some sort of trauma during landing, and to the point where its entire wing box ripped off and the fuselage continued and came to rest upside down. There doesn't appear to be a whole lot of thermal damage or fire damage, which is a miracle because those wings hold fuel, and fortunately they didn't blow, it seems. So it's a miracle with regard to the survivability design of the aircraft too. The 16G seats that are designed not to move in a crash like this, the seat belts. So it's but it's still very troubling. The wind was very high, as Captain Cox indicated, and that may have played a role in this, but it could have been a compounding factor with something else, perhaps an engine issue or a flight control issue. We just don't know right now.
Jeff, we're hearing that there are now 15 people with injuries, but to your point, quite miraculous to look at this image and report that the injuries aren't more plentiful when there were 80 people on board. I just want to ask you, in terms of what you can see, what we can all see, this image on our screen, if you've ever seen this before.
Yes, I've seen numerous accidents, some involving smaller business jets, others involving larger transport category airplanes. For example, you had the Asiana 777 landing at San Francisco about, must have been 10, 12 years ago, where that airplane coming into San Francisco hit the seawall and began to tumble and ended up upside down, but its wings were attached. Here we don't see that. I recently investigated an accident involving a Bombardier type of airplane where it left the runway for suspicious reasons, perhaps a crosswind, perhaps a nose landing gear steering problem upon touchdown. That could cause an airplane to come off the runway, strike something, and flip over. But it really, until we see video, and I'm sure there is video of this airplane making its approach, we really don't know the sequence of events here yet.
Ali Velshi, just jump in on how striking it is to be covering another potentially even more catastrophic airline incident.
Hi there. If you're just beginning Medicare and comparing all your options, there's one incredible.
This one certainly looks catastrophic. That's the amazing part of it, to look at this, what the pictures that we're looking at, and not know that anyone has perished in this. Again, I want to remind everybody, this is the Bombardier. The CRJ 900 is made by Bombardier. Bombardier is now made by Mitsubishi, but it used to be a Canadian company. This plane was made in Canada. They're generally speaking very safe planes unto themselves, and they are, planes, passenger planes are meant to think about crashes. However, the plane went over. One of the first images you saw was fire trucks moving in, because the fuel is in the wings. And when you crash a plane, if you're in a plane, one of the first things you think about is, if that plane were to crash, how do you not make it also be a fire? Because if anybody survives it, the thing that can really get you is the fire. So you see that's being sprayed with foam. It was being sprayed with foam as passengers were getting off. Toronto has had a major crash many years ago. It was an Air France flight. Everybody got off of that as well, by the way. That was remarkable. The crew did an amazing job. The flight attendants got everybody off in a calm and safe fashion. So Toronto has a great deal of experience with running a safe airport. They were on it very fast. But one of these things is, once that plane's upside down, you don't know what's going on. This plane came in at 150 miles an hour. That's roughly the speed at which a plane has to land. Now, when there are gusting winds, the pilot, upon landing that plane, in the seconds before they land, they've got to play with that throttle and that power and their steering and their rudders to keep it on track. And sometimes you have to add power, and sometimes you have to take power away. It's really the most complicated part of flight. People don't think about it. It's the part where you're on your phone. You've told people you're landed. You're undoing your seatbelt. It is the most complicated part of flight. And so we're going to learn a lot, because the crew seems to be alive. And I'm hoping this is the case. I'm hoping everybody's alive. We're going to learn a lot about what happened, and there will be real lessons from this one. The question remains as to whether that airport should have been open or closed with gusting without shoveling that snow, without moving the snow out of the way, which means the banks of the runways may have had more snow than they should have. So what happened with the wings? It's hard to tell. Was that because the wings clipped some snow? Was that in the turnover of the airplane? We need to understand what the landing gear is. But as your other guest said, these are all compounding factors. In many cases, when you're dealing with weather, weather is every pilot's enemy because it's unpredictable. It changes frequently. And as a pilot, you've got to make decisions. That's not a control tower telling you as you're coming in. They give you the weather readout. You have to fly your plane to the ground. So the idea that this plane touched down at something like 150 miles per hour and flipped over, and we have survivors, given that image you're seeing, is incredible, because that's a serious crash.
It is. That is a serious crash, guys. Whew. Let me get on with the rest of it. Give me 1 second ago. So what do you all think about all these crashes? This is happening back to back all the time. This is not. Wait, let me turn the volume off this while that commercial plays through. This is happening every day. It seems like there's no, not every day, every week, but it seems like there's no stopping it and everything. Let me just bring this to y'all, guys, okay? I want to bring this to you. I'm going to unmute it.
What was happening here at Pearson, or what were you doing when you saw something happen?
So we were seeing like some black smoke coming from the runway inside of the airport. We were doing some plane spotting over on that plaza over there at the intersection, and we saw something, some big smoke coming over the airport. So we rushed here to check out what exactly was happening. So I was walking to this fence, and and I could see a CRJ that is possibly crashed on the airport. The airplane is flipped, according to what I've seen, and my friend says like there are a couple of people evacuating from the airplane, and that's pretty much the information I know so far.
Okay, just what you were plane spotter. What do you mean by CRJ?
CRJ is I think it's a regional jet made by Bombardier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what's your reaction when you saw all that smoke?
I was shocked. Like initially, I thought it was some fire or something coming from the snowblower, because yesterday there was a snowblower that was on fire. So we thought it was the same. But when we came here, and then my friend rushed there first, and then he said the CRJ is crashed on the runway. So I was like, yeah, I gotta go check it out. And the next thing I saw is basically a plane that the CRJ plane that basically flipped on the runway.
What's your reaction to seeing that plane that caught on fire flipped on the runway?
I'm really shocked that I don't know. There's no better word of saying. Like I'm still like in like kind of stranded, and I'm really shocked that they happened on the Pearson, because it's the first time seeing like these kind of event, and yeah, I think it's really, to be honest, it's really really disastrous and sad event, I should say. If it is, yeah. But I hope people on board are all evacuated safely. And yeah, I think that's all the thing I know for so far.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. It turns out one of the
Oh my God, this is becoming very serious. It's making people afraid to fly, and I know a lot of people are afraid to fly. You know what I mean? They are afraid to fly, and I'm one of them. But I do fly. But it makes you afraid to fly. You know what I mean? Because you never know what's going to happen, especially during dangerous weather. Oh, Lord, if the weather's bad, oh, no, I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to stay where I'm at. I'm going to stay where I am. That was me eating my pie. And it's cold. It is cold. So, guys, I don't know. These days, we don't know what's going on, how it's going out there, what it's supposed to be like. But we just know things are happening out there. Oh, I need to let that finish. I think we already heard from Miss Woman here. Let me just check, because, she be still talking. Let me see. Let me just see.
Toronto, where a Delta Airlines flight arriving from Minneapolis has crashed on landing. That's according to the FAA. You're looking at live images from Toronto's Pearson Airport. The jet appears to have flipped upside down. It is a developing situation and a lot is unknown at this hour, but here's what we do know. The incident happened around 2:45 p.m. Eastern. 80 people were on board the aircraft. Pearson Airport has said in a post on X that all passengers and all crew have been accounted for and emergency crews are responding. A local official tells MSNBC that 9 people have been injured. One is in critical condition and has been airlifted to a nearby trauma center. A child was also injured and taken by ambulance to a local hospital. This video shows passengers evacuating from the jet. The flight is operated by a regional subsidiary of Delta Airlines called Endeavour Airlines. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada is currently in charge of this investigation. Let's bring in my colleague, MSNBC host Ali Velshi, who also happens to be a pilot. He's been tracking this story for us. Also joining us, NTSB investigator, MSNBC aviation analyst, Jeff Gazzetti will join us momentarily. Ali Velshi, I've been listening to you on the air with our friend and colleague, Katie Tur. Just reset for us what you believe to be the circumstances around this now flipped over upside down jet.
So it's a Delta feeder jet. It's not a mainline jet, but Minneapolis, as you know, is one of the major centers for Delta. Toronto is the major hub in Canada. It was on its way in. It was completely full. It's got 76 seats on that plane, two people in the cockpit, a pilot and a co-pilot, and 2 crew. So that was a full complement, which is typical of planes coming into Toronto. The issue is the weather in Toronto has been very bad. It's had 2 back-to-back storms, 3+ feet of snow on the ground. I've had family sending me pictures for the last several days of just snow, which Canadians don't do because they're used to snow. Plane came in, the landing speed's about 150 miles an hour, so think about that. Plane seems to get to the ground at 150 miles an hour. Now, if it flips over at 150 miles an hour, it probably wouldn't look the way it looks right now. It would probably be destroyed. So something happened. The pilots figured out something. The plane then seems to have flipped over. Now, what we don't see is landing gear, so we don't know whether the landing gear failed, the landing gear broke, the landing gear wasn't open, or could it be that the winds are very high? The plane could have caught some wind as it was landing. The snow, the banks along the runways have been cleared, but the banks along the runways have a lot of snow. So that sometimes happens. You hit some snow and then you go over, or snow blows onto the runway and becomes ice. The plane gets to the ground. Most people get off. There are 9 injured. Some of those injuries are supposedly to do with the weather because it's -4 degrees Fahrenheit in Toronto. But the 2 who have been sent to hospital, one is a child by land ambulance. There are very, very good children's hospitals in Toronto. It's a children's hospital center, really, for Canada. The other one was medevac to a trauma center. Again, that's because Toronto is a very heavily trafficked city. It's got excellent trauma hospitals, but it would be more standard to put somebody on a helicopter and in 5 minutes be at a trauma center. So that's what we're looking at right now. We are told that the critical injury is not life-threatening, which is great news if true. But amazing to look at these pictures, to see an upside-down plane on a runway, a jet, and understand that maybe 9 people are injured, and we're hoping it's not more than that. A lot of questions. The airport's closed right now. There were winds gusting up to 27 miles per hour, which would be entirely manageable for a CRJ 900 like that. That would not be winds that would necessarily cause it to flip. And the kinds of planes I flew, if you had 27 mile per hour gusts, I wouldn't fly. But that's not in and of itself the danger. Whether the wind caught it and the wing caught some snow, or there was ice on the runway, it might be in concert with other things that the wind was a factor. But the weather is definitely a factor there. There's a lot of snow to the extent that even the city of Toronto has said it might take weeks to get that city cleared of the snow that it's got right now. So the weather is probably the most likely factor at the moment.
Ali, do we know if there were cancellations in and out of the airport at the time of this incident?
I don't know yet, and I know this plane was coming in a little bit late, and it showed as delayed. Typically, when there is the kind of weather you've got in Toronto like this, you see departure delays because they're de-icing all the planes. When it's that cold, they have to de-ice the planes. So you'll see an airport. It's like an airfield. It's like a much bigger than a football field, just full of planes waiting to take off. So you often have departure delays. We did not know of any incoming delays. I've seen some questions raised on social media about should the airport have even been open. It's important to remember this is Canada's biggest airport. It's a major hub.
Guys, for the last 15 minutes, I'm going to show another report of it, okay, for the last 15 minutes. And let me just go ahead and just get it, because I try to get it covered from all sides, because this is a major deal. You know, and when I say major deal, it is a major deal because we're having too many plane crashes, and not all plane crashes, going to be successful. That means, what I mean by that, not everybody is going to walk out of that plane. There's some people that still may be alive but may not walk out. You may have to come and get them out, or they may not walk out because they're unalived. So, but I do want you all to hear this.
We are just dipping in as we continue to follow breaking news this afternoon out of Toronto Pearson Airport. A plane crash has injured 8 people, including a child. We have our crews near and at the airport, including our Catalina Gillies at Pearson, where we are waiting for a police update this afternoon. You could see in the far distance that scene over there. Catalina, if you could talk a little bit about what you are seeing and what we know so far.
Yes, absolutely, Faiza. We're here at Vanguard Road, just adjacent to the runway. We have eyes on the plane right now. There are lots of emergency vehicles, fire trucks, paramedics, police on scene. We can see that the plane has been flipped over, but again, emergency crews in and out. We do know that 8 people have been confirmed rushed to hospital, with 3 in critical condition. That includes a child, but we did hear earlier that official confirmed no deaths. The incident happened on runway 23, which is parallel to Derry Road. Toronto Pearson posting on X stating that they are aware of the incident upon arrival from Minneapolis. It is a Delta Airlines plane, and emergency crews say that all passengers and crew were accounted for. Orange also confirming that they responded to the incident. At the time, 3 air ambulance helicopters and a critical care land ambulance were dispatched. Doug Ford also posting on X. He said, "I'm relieved there are no casualties after the incident at Toronto Pearson. Provincial officials are in contact with the airport, and local authorities will provide any help that's needed." Customs also is closed for the rest of the day. All incoming flights are being diverted to Montreal. Again, this is a breaking news story. It's incredibly windy out here. We can feel just how much it could impact possible planes landing at the airport. We're going to stay on scene here. Police are expected to give an update shortly, and we'll have more details on City News at 5 and 6. I'll send it back to you.
Catalina, thank you for that. If we can get the camera just to zoom in on the scene where emergency officials are responding at that plane crash over there. Anita Anand, the transport minister, said that she's closely following this situation. This is the Delta Airlines flight 4819 from Minneapolis, and we're learning through her that there were 80 passengers on board. She says all have been accounted for. As our Catalina Gillies tells us, we are expecting an update from officials any moment now. We are following this story, this breaking news story, closely right here on City News 24/7. Catalina Gillies, thank you so much.
Oh my God. Y'all see that? There's nothing but snow there. I mean, around and near the ice and stuff is near around the plane and all that snow. I guess they didn't clear the runway. Is that what happened? Shouldn't you be having someone out there constantly clearing the runways as the planes come in? If you're going to have them to be flying in like that, you're not canceling flights. You need to have someone constantly, a crew out there constantly clearing the snow. And I hope if they're, at least if they're not doing that, de-icing the planes, if you got planes leaving out, de-icing them, because this is every week. If it's not 2 planes a week, it's at least 1 a week. We're getting planes falling from the sky all the time now. Like I told y'all, ever since the eclipse happened, we got planes falling all the time. We got this weather that nobody can explain. Things that's unheard of for California, for the East Coast, for the South, everywhere, no matter where you live. It's something, things we have never seen. If we have, we didn't see it, maybe our great grandparents may saw it. Things that's unreal. You know, if we ain't got a hurricane, we got an earthquake. And we got earthquakes that it's going crazy. Now we got these planes falling out of the sky. I said they're falling because they ain't coming resting down, letting everybody out. So as long as they're not coming down, resting everybody out, they're falling out of the sky to me, of flying into each other like that. We had 2 military helicopters that just fell out of the sky or ran into another plane. Yeah. Y'all be safe. This is unprecedented. This is serious, okay? Y'all just be careful and make a decision when it's bad weather like that. Make a decision, because people are worried about their loved ones. People going to be heading to the airport if they're not already there for this flight number 4819, coming into Toronto, Canada. People are going to be worried about their loved ones and stuff. And thank God they all are accounted for. And the ones that needing to seek emergency services or go to the hospital, we just pray that those people are okay, especially the one in critical condition, that person is going to be well soon or sustain, not, get a healthy recovery from this. Because I can imagine being on a plane and the plane just flip over. But while the plane flip over, you find out where's the wings on the plane. Did it leave it a couple miles down on their runway? Where's the wings? And then the plane is flipped over. So if you were sitting in your seats, that means you're dangling upside down. If you have your seatbelt on, you're dangling. Oh, do I really want to let the seatbelt go and fall down? I have no other choice because I don't know whether the plane is going to burn or blow up. Because whenever a plane crashes, that's one of the first things on your mind. I got to get out of here. And if you're already on the floor, just pray that you can get up. Nothing fell on you that you can't get up off you so you can get up and get out of there. Guys, this is serious. This is something that's happening all the time. And we got to think about when we are traveling. You got to say to yourself, oh my God, do I really want to travel? I don't have no problems in flying. Do I like flying? No. But if I have to fly, I will fly. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and fly. If I have to. But if I have a choice to get there another way, I'm going to choose to drive, or have my husband to drive me. Yeah. Okay, guys. Whew. We're not going to hold this one long. Let me see where I am in terms of let me see where I am. You know I am. Y'all don't want me to see. This is a tragedy. Today is just Monday. And you be wishing everybody have a great Monday. Enjoy your first day of the week. Get a fresh start to your week. And you find out, no, there's no fresh start to the week. Because it's just bad out here. It's just bad. Okay, guys, I'm going to be going, but I will keep y'all updated. Any new information that comes in on flight number 4819, flying into Toronto, Canada, the Delta plane that crashed a few hours ago. I will keep you all updated on that. Hi, Capricorn. Thank you for coming in. I've been covering the flight coming into Toronto, Canada, the Delta plane crash, flight number 4819, that flipped over and turned upside down, that came in, and it don't have its wings. The wings, I don't know where the wings are. I hope they find the wings. They probably somewhere miles somewhere on the runway. But yeah, make sure that you all do watch the replay too. If you're just coming in, watch the replay. We're getting ready to hit 1 hour of this. In 4 minutes, it will be 1 hour. But my prayers go out to all the people on the plane and their loved ones that's waiting for them to hear word or whatever, whether they're at the hospital or somewhere in the hangar or somewhere at the airport, or whether they got them somewhere. But I just pray for everyone there and pray that we don't have another plane crash today or nothing else this week. Because it seems like we getting them. Y'all can see I got my robe sitting right here on me. I'm cold in here. I forgot it was, I got it wrapped around me. It's cold here. I'm cold. And I'm sitting by this window, so it's cold and everything. This is a big giant window, and it got me cold. Yeah, but anyway, take care, guys. I'm going to try not to come live again today, but if I have to, I will. All right. One live for me a day is good, but very rare that I come twice or 3 times. I never come 3 times, maybe twice, but I'm going to try not to come back for today. But you all, let me just see what's going on. Make sure on your way out, if you did not hit that like button, what you say, Capricorn? Let me see what you said. Let me see. Miss Pinkie, get a space heater for that room. This room is warm. It's just when I close the door is closed, it gets a little cooler. It gets cooler because then it just stays in one room. And I'm going to tell you a secret most people don't know. My husband and my daughter love it cold. They can walk around in short pants, no socks, and a t-shirt, and it'd be freezing cold. I cannot do that. I have to put socks on, long sleeve, sweatpants, or a sweat suit or something. I cannot do that. I stay cold. My husband is from up north, so he's used to walking around like that. He goes all outside with no shoes on, and it's freezing cold. To put, take out the trash or check the mailbox, I cannot do that. He's used to the cold. I'm not. So, and my kids, they're just like him. They can take it. I don't know what to get. Oh gosh. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. In 1 minute, we'll be 1 hour into this live. And I'll tell my husband what you said, Capricorn. that I need a space heater up under my desk here. Well, this seems like this room should be warm, but when I keep the door closed for my it started getting cold in here. Y'all see, I got this here with me, and I never had a robe over me while I'm doing my live, but I got one over me right now because it's cold, you know. And they got me on the front of this house. I'm right on the front. I'm used to being in down way on down in the back of this house. Yeah, this is too much for me. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and be going. It's 1 hour into this live, and let's just pray for everybody. Pray for everybody that you know, that they stay safe, because you know, after something happened, and especially something as horrific as an airplane crash, because that airplane, when it flipped, it had to hit hard. That's big ton metal hitting a runway. That probably jarred your senses up, and you probably don't even know you're hurt yet. Don't even know you're hurt until because you're running, trying to save your life and get out, and then you don't know you're hurt until you go somewhere and sit down, or you get to the hospital, or you get home. Then you realize, wait, now I got a sprained hip, or I got a broken leg. I got my back is thrown out. I got whiplash. I got backache. And then they figured, well, why you didn't say that when we saw you? No, I was too busy trying to save my life. I wasn't thinking about it. Adrenaline took over. But now I'm hurt. Okay? So you know what I mean. But guys, I wish I had a certain song to play for this to take us out. The songs I got, you don't want to play. Well, I'll play this one here, because this one is okay. Because the other ratchet songs I get, we can't play those things trying to take this one out. Right, guys? Whew. Yeah. This is something else. Too much for little old Pinkie. Pinkie, too much for me. Too much. I'm watching all the cars, but thank God they're on the other side of my big, tall, 6 foot tall, what do you call this thing? Brick wall, because it's not a brick wall, it's a stone wall. Bricks ain't stones, these are stones, big giant stones stacked up. High as you can go. But I can see them because they go up and then down, because I can see down in the valley. So I can see them come up, then they go down. They're coming up from where I am, then they go down. And as they go down, I can see them from the window. But only thing I like about being here, I can see the house, the top of the houses down below me. Yeah. And it's always foggy. Like now, I don't know whether that's foggy or it's just gray looking over those houses. I can't tell the difference. In the morning, I can tell it's fog. But right now, I don't know whether that's fog. It's just gray looking over top of those houses. Or it's just a cloud. I don't know. But anyway, I have no idea. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and go. All right. Thank you all for being here, being part of this live and everything. And I guess we're going to have to just keep praying for everybody in this crash, okay? All right, thank you guys. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm trying to find that little, okay. Bye-bye, guys.